Sometimes things just happen that make you think, I think I'm at the right place at the right time, and everything is just kind of, this is meant to be, right? This wing right here is one of those things that made me think that. Bucky Elastic actually made it out to my house. I'll tell you the whole story at the end, but this wing that I just showed you, which you'll get a good close-up look at the end, is just an absolute cherry on top. The car looks incredible. Enjoy the wide body and know at the end of the video that when we put the wing on, it sets this thing off. Like, it's sick. In today's episode, we installed the ABW wide body kit. If you missed the episode where we unboxed it, go check it out and then come back to this. We got it all the way from the UK, so it came a long way to get here. The goal is to have a WRC style STI swapped street car I can hoon around. Take to car shows, travel around, meet you guys, and get a bunch of awesome footage with it. To install this kit, the front fenders bolt on, pretty simple. The rear fenders are molded to the body. In simple terms, they're basically glued on and then we blended in all the edges with Bondo and stuff like that. The front and rear bumpers bolt on, but they need modification to the factory crash bars, so we dive into that. We don't show too much of the rear bumper, but we'll dive more into that in the future and do a final walkthrough of the entire fitment of this kit so that you know exactly how to do it and approach this. We're gonna pause the video real quick. I have a $200 Amazon gift card. I have something that could save you money every month that turns into a big lump sum amount of money every year. So check this out. Compare.com reached out. They wanted to sponsor the channel. I checked out their product. I entered my information in on their website. I thought their website was super modern, minimalistic, and they spit out a bunch of car insurance quotes and gave me the cheapest to most expensive. And I said, wow, I could actually save some money every month going with a company that isn't as popular, but they have just as good of a policy and coverage. So why wouldn't I? Their average user is saving $60 a month. That turns into $720 per year that you could be saving putting towards a catback exhaust camera to start your YouTube channel. Maybe you put towards rent. Maybe you buy your friend something. Whatever it may be, if you click the link in the description, you can go to compare.com, enter your information in. That automatically enters you in at that point for free to get the $200 Amazon gift card. And then you get to see all your insurance quotes stacked on top of each other, and you can choose the cheapest and maybe go look into some more details. It's an awesome website, super user friendly. I really like the vibe of their employees. I talked to them on Zoom and stuff, so it was super personal, and it was more than email. So I'm looking forward to doing more stuff with them in the future, and I think you guys will find this super duper valuable. This whole concept is super popular in other countries and not in the United States. So they're trying to show everyone here what's going on. So go check it out. Click the link in the description. That Amazon gift card is there waiting for you potentially. Sign up, get the quote. Let me know how it goes. Appreciate Compare.com for sponsoring today's video. Let's get back into it. Installing a wide body kit isn't as intimidating as I thought. The panel bond is pretty simple, which is basically gluing the fenders on. The fronts bolt on. There was some metal work, fab work needed cutting those crash bars. The fiberglass was something I've never touched before, so having Randall walk us through that, I'm confident that I feel much better, and I know that after you guys watch this video, you will feel confident going into doing this yourself and making it happen. And if you are questioning anything, you can overcome those details. You have what you need to know up here. It's just then getting the right tools and equipment you need to move forward, which is nothing but time and just working for whatever you need to buy. Before we dive into the process more in depth, we are in the Karma Speed room. Karma Speed is a brand I built for you guys and for the car community in general. I want this to be like the Volcom of the car community and not just have apparel or stuff to wear, accessories. I want it to be a resource for all car people to guide them to the tools, the products, the knowledge that they need. And we actually have a new site we're almost ready to launch that has the first step of it being a resource outside of just apparel and accessories and stuff. But I do have a new jet tag, black and white, not the only option. We have a white one as well. Then we have the black. They say remove before flight. They're super clean, fresh, in bags to protect them. New Era hats, 3D embroidery, really nice Karma Speed stuff. Air fresheners, coconut flavor, smells super good. Valve stem caps. There's a link to the Karma Speed website in the description as well as the URL on the screen. Check us out on Instagram, follow us so that you can see any new products that we come out with. And we have some car specific things coming out soon, so you don't want to miss those. Let's dive into the process of the wide body. To start off, we'll do a little bit of cleaning. Randall's gonna walk us through this whole thing and I'm gonna narrate kind of what's going on. So Randall's using a combination of tools to get rid of this foam rubber combination that insulates the taillights to get them to fit right. We can replace that later. We want to get everything as clean as possible so this thing is ready for the wide body, but also ready for paint as well. So Randall's getting rid of all the glue from the windows and such with a little scraper. You know, this is used for houses and cars and anything else like that. This is a standard tool you can find anywhere. Don't forget our Amazon list in the description if you guys need some tools. A lot of stuff we use is here as well. So Randall's kind of sanding down an area that was previously bondoed, that tan spot, and cleaning it up. You're going to see Randall using acetone a lot, but we're going to start with the rear fender. We're going to mock it up, tape it on, and then get our marker and mark the arch, and then we're going to cut that out. This car, when you cut into the fender, it splits into two pieces, and it's not like a newer car, so I'm sure we could have cut higher, but it would have been a lot more fab work, and it seemed like this was going to be enough. And the WRC style kit that we got is a much higher arch, so we're already going to have more leeway as far as wheel travel in the first place, so I wasn't too concerned about cutting this up super high. I'll let you guys know if that changes or if I had different opinions, but you're going to see Randall's taking a grinder and cutting out his line, and then taking a flap disc to soften up those edges and kind of eat away at some material to get the shape that he's looking for. And then he's taking a trailer fender, which we went over the information on that in the tubbing video. You can get everything you need to know about trailer fenders and stuff, where to buy them and stuff from that video. So Randall's kind of bent it to the same shape, marked his line, and then he's cutting it with a grinder all the way across. And he's going to mock this up in there after he cleans it with acetone. That gets the surface ready for some TIG welds. MIG welds would have been perfect for this, but we only have a TIG welder right now. We're still saving up for a MIG welder. So Randall's making do with what we got, and he wanted to get good at TIG welding anyway, so I love seeing him right now getting after it, and he's gotten better and better, and it gets me excited, and he's fired up about it too. So looking up close, wire brush on the drill, kind of break down some of that like slag material from welding. Then he's going to make a line with his tape where he wants to cut it off, because he wants this to be about the necessary distance so that there's a little bit of, it covers up the gap, having a little bit of metal overhanging. And then we're going to trim back the actual fender once we get more into it. So you can see once you install this yourself, you'll understand. But looking at our other side, we're going to start with what's called Cleco pins. This is where I get fired up a little bit. I've seen these things used in so many videos, and no one talks about the name. At least the videos that I saw drove me absolutely nuts. I don't even remember the time, place, where I saw it. I finally found the name of them. I have it on screen right now. Cleco sheet metal fasteners with the Cleco pliers. You drill a 1/8 inch hole wherever you want, and then you pull with the pliers the pin, the fastener, and it slides in the hole. When you let go, it grabs tight, and this is like the best way to use panel bond and get your body panels to stick to the car when you're adding something to it, like these fiberglass pieces. These things are so rad. I can't wait to use these for the rest of my life because they make life so easy. We're going to come back to those in a second, but we're going to work on creating a line where we're going to cut the fiberglass with our air grinder. These fiberglass pieces are made to be cut up. I thought you just have to mold it as it comes, but I found out that you do need to modify them, and you can see how some people do it differently. When you go and watch Bucky Lasek series, you see that he cuts a large portion of it around the perimeter of the outside of the rear quarters. We kind of went the minimalist route. We wanted to cut only what we needed to, so we cut it right at this body line that you can see, and it'll be more clear in a second. And then we take the air grinder and cut it. So we're trying to get this piece of wood behind there so we have something between the fiberglass rear fender and the paint, and then we can take the air grinder and cut this piece off on the perfect line. And then when we blend it in, we can clean those edges up. So you can kind of see visually as we go through the process. It's not as bad as you would think. You just need some of the proper tools. Make sure you wear your respirator. You don't want to be breathing this fiberglass or anything else like that. But let's follow along and see this progress, how this goes down. And Randall really took his time and made sure that some of these curves were on point, and then we cut some of this fiberglass off, and the molding process wasn't too bad. This is a 3/8 inch belt air sander. These things are used all the time when you get into fab work or any sort of fiberglass work like this. You can get debris off, you can get material off. They're super rad, but we've got clean fitment. We're happy with how things are going, so we're ready to start drilling our 1/8 inch holes with our drill bit through the body of the car and the fiberglass so that we can mount our Cleco pins, so that when we use panel bond, we can use the Cleco pins to hold the panel to the car, and that way when the glue slash panel bond dries, it has a really good contact between the two surfaces. Randall's going to grind down our area where the glue is going to be so that we have the best possible adhesion, because this is going to be on the car for life, and we don't really have to worry about it ever coming off, because this 3M panel bond stuff you're going to see here in a second is no joke. They use it to literally hold bedsides on the newer Chevys, I believe. It's not even held on by bolts or, you know, anything metal anymore. As far as I know, the 1500s, the bedsides are literally held on by this panel bond. So Randall's cleaning this up. He's going to hit it with some acetone here in a second, and then we will be applying the panel bond and get into that. This is the gun that we're going to need for our panel bond. I have links in the description as always to our massive tools list. You have a special tip that it comes with. It usually comes with 2 of these, so the glue dries inside of it. It's really satisfying seeing it go through both sides because it mixes it as it goes through the tip of this gun. This stuff is crazy. It's super simple. I love the idea of it just being able to hold it on a level that will stay on a car at 150 miles an hour, and you know, anything can hit it, and it's like super glue on steroids. You don't have to stress too much about placing this on there because you do have a little bit of movement, so you want to try and get it first try. But with the 2 of us, we're able to press it on slowly, and then we'll install our Cleco pins, and then from there we can just let it dry overnight and then grab them the next day, and then you just Bondo and fill in all the individual holes when you do your body work. In the process, we saw, hey, the glue needs to dry here. We need a little bit of pressure, so we drilled a new hole after the glue was even in there and just put some new Cleco pins in where we thought the panel needs to be held in. This is a great representation visually of how this works. So thanks to the Cleco pin, it held that part down right there, and you saw that gap before. Now we see other gaps like this that need a spot, so we're going to go ahead and drill a new hole in the middle of everything and throw one of those fasteners in there. I keep calling them Cleco pins. I think I should be calling them fasteners. Then we found a spot that needed more panel bond, so we took some of the fasteners out, shot some panel bond in there, and then put our fasteners back in and even added another one, and we'll be good to go. Randall's scooping excess off with his Bondo applicators. Now we're moving on to sealing and fiberglassing in our gas tank cap. This is a look that I'm not really a fan of. I want it to be seamless on both sides, and I hope to have a fuel cell in the rear. So fiberglass is pretty straightforward. We've got our fiberglass resin, we've got our hardener just like Bondo. You're going to mix that, get that ready, get a paintbrush ready, apply some on there, and then stick on our little sheets of fiberglass one at a time and then paint over it, and it's really obvious from what you can see with Randall. When I thought of fiberglass, it really stressed me out, but Randall's woken me up to how simple a lot of this stuff is, and it just takes time practicing, you know, being confident with what you can get where. And then once this is layered up enough, then we can focus on putting Bondo on and sanding it down so the shape matches the fender and making sure it blends in just fine. You cut it up like this in any shape that you want. You can buy this at O'Reilly's or any other major paint body shop, and we actually use this in some of the fender wells and some of the gaps that we couldn't necessarily get a piece of metal in. You just throw some fiberglass in there, call it a day. It gets painted over. You never know it's there. You can't sometimes tell the difference between metal and fiberglass once it's coated with undercoating or paint, but this side's ready to go. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to move this piece of the gas tank fill, and then from the back side we can remove the rest, which we'll do in the next video, and we strip everything off. Otherwise, as far as the subframes and whatnot. So we're getting this ready with some acetone, and then we're going to clean off the inside of the rear fender, and then get back to our panel bond and do the exact same thing as the other side. We started to do this brushing stuff, but we quickly realized that that's not the move. Here we are drilling holes again for places that we need to hold. After the fact, we didn't realize it. Aren't these fasteners rad? I am obsessed with them. And here we are with the belt sander, Randall's one of his favorite tools, and we're marking the areas that are hitting the side skirt. The side skirts slide on no problem, and we're going to grind down some of the material on the bottom of the door and then make it even with a flap disc and make sure this fits real smooth so the door opens and closes no problems. This is all things that come along with fitting a fiberglass kit like this. Get ready to grind a lot of metal down, custom fit work, but it'll all be worth it, and with everything we're going through, you know exactly what you need to do. As far as the front fenders go, Randall's punching some holes with a drill bit where all the bolt holes are. You just kind of make a mark where the original bolt holes were. Really easy. Any of you guys could do this with little to no experience. It's super obvious. The front fenders are the easiest part of all of this. Randall's got a thick layer of Bondo over the gas tank cap that we are blending into the actual rear fender. This is a pretty thick layer, but we have quite a bit of fiberglass, so I'm not too worried about it cracking or anything because we did a ton of fiberglass, so we should be good. But Randall takes his time and gets this done right. We ended up doing another layer later on with some finishing Bondo and the kind of glaze, what you would call it. So by the time this is all done, it looks really good and matches the other side. At this point, Randall's using the palm sander to kind of blend some of these edges in, match it to the door a little bit, and just kind of test the waters as to what the fitment can look like, and taking off some of those hard edges and then blowing it off, getting it cleaned up, and taking a look at it from here. To address the dent right here, we're going to want to sand down past the gel coat and get some raw fiberglass showing. Since it is a bigger area, we're going to want to get that down to that raw fiberglass and then Bondo over the top of it. During this, he is filling in all those holes that we use for the Glico pins. He just does a quick layer of Bondo. You can barely even see it once he gets to it, and then sand it down even. Really simple. You can see he's hitting all those holes right now, including that dent. Let that dry, and then come back to it and sand it. Right now, Randall's using a straight line sander. This is to just knock down a lot of material and keep your line straight. it covers a lot of area, so you have really even sanding, because when you do it by hand or with a palm sander, some areas will be higher and lower than others, and when you look down the side of it from an angle, you'll see some waves. So you want to keep the line straight, and that's why it's good to use that. So he's getting in there by hand right now with some sandpaper, kind of filling it out, and then he has all this glaze, which is a brighter red Bondo, and then kind of getting the finishing touches on some of the areas with that straight line sander, palm sander, etc. One of the bigger concerns when you're installing this kit, now that we have it fitted on, is all this extra material that goes all the way up. We're gonna cut this out so we have maximum space for wheel travel, because if you have this in here, your wheel's gonna end up hitting this fiberglass. So we gotta cut that out. So this is the untouched side. We're gonna go over to this side we already started cutting. Randall cut out that main piece, and me and him are kind of sitting here taping up how far do we want to cut. So we started with making a line where this bumper connects, and then following that same width all the way across. We cut that out thus far, and then we created a tape line after some Sharpie and kind of made it the maximum distance to get to kind of where the body connects to it. So I stuck my finger in here. I'm like, okay, we can cut this much out. We put our tape in here, and then we're just gonna trim it out. It's pretty straightforward. I'm making it sound more complicated than it is, but we wanna get as much material out of here so we have maximum wheel clearance and we can run big wheels and tires. We're probably gonna have to do the same thing in the front and trim this as well, but we'll get to that later on. Using some blue tape to have a solid line of where you want to cut your fiberglass. This is something that was kind of intimidating, but we'll dive more into it as this series continues. So these little details, like inside this fender well, I was really confused on what I should do. We made some mistakes and we fixed them, so I'll kind of cover that in the videos coming up. So just follow along and we'll make sure that you feel confident in every step of the way. The technical name for this is a pneumatic air reciprocating saw. You guys can look that up on Google, find one, but it's just a really small saw. It fits into places like this. Hook it up to the air compressor, and then we can get this cut out. We are making room for the wheels to travel. When you think of rolling fenders, you're getting rid of that fender, and we have a huge piece that we need to cut out. So we get more and more into that as time comes on, but let's check out this wing that Bucky delivered now that we kind of have this fitted up. We got a possible wing from Bucky himself.
Special delivery, straight from Japan.
What's the technical name for this one?
This is a V6, version 6. And it's not a replica. And it's very well wrapped. Replicas of this wing, but you don't see many originals.
Let me go grab that chunk real fast. Different like style or no?
Yeah, the rally wing is a little bit more aggressive
than this one.
Yeah.
This is a. Oh wow, yeah. That's pretty sick.
That looks gnarly.
This is the same wing that Brian from iWire has with his blue one.
Oh, okay.
It's a sought after wing as far as like purist.
Right.
Otherwise he wouldn't have it on his.
Well, I've never seen this body in front of me with a wing on it, so now I can see like what I'm excited about, because the whole time I'm like, this looks like a regular car. Yeah, what do you think, Randall?
I dig it.
He's smiling.
It completed it, to be honest.
Seriously, pulled it together with a wide body. Oh gosh. Bucky, thanks for stopping by the Karma Speed Garage.
See you.
Appreciate the help.
Thanks for having me. Love your spot. Love your channel. We'll have to do a collaboration sometime on the mountain when they're all up and running.
I'm bringing the car to you. We're gonna go drive.
See you soon.
All right, later, dude.
See ya.
To get the front bumper to fit on this car, you're going to want to remove the lower section of the front crash bar. You can see the line right here where we cut through the welds. That way we can retain the stock mounting location points and then be able to hang this bumper on the front, no problem. But it's just mainly getting the bottom section off here. It's pretty simple. You can see where we cut, take a grinder, sawzall, and cut through some metal, and then it's pretty simple. Here's a good look. I'm going to show you around. Enjoy the car for a second. We're going to touch on the rear bumper later. And then right after this, I'm going to show you kind of what went down as far as looking for wings online and then the different options out there. To the internet looking for a wing. It's not as simple as I thought it would be. There's a lot of options. We got a P1 Pro Drive OEM Classic Super Rare 4Gs. Sheesh. Then we have this Modelo Drive, just monstrosity. Yeah. Then this is like an identical one to the one I have, but it's carbon fiber. It looks pretty sick. It's a nice $1,300 to the old wallet. I'm good. I'm good. Then we have our classic V4 Duraflex quality. Nah. Then we have this S6 version 6 22B Pro Drive Rep 600. That's what this one looks like painted. This is the one like Bucky has, but this is what they would call a P2000 wing. This thing is rad. I think it's super cool. I need to look at Bucky's up close in person, but I found this guy in, I think, Russia. He remakes a lot of these parts in fiberglass and carbon. I was shook at, I don't know what I was more shook by, the prices once I emailed him or the actual product, but I'm glad. I mean, I wouldn't expect anything less price-wise because these parts are insane looking. So, one day, right? But I'm gonna have to pass. It's not working for this build right now. This wing we got fit perfect right here. This is the V6, like Bucky said earlier, but I'm happy with how it looks. And it's pretty cool to think, hey, this was rolling around in Japan for a while, and then it ended up in my house. This is going to be a video on the Cameron Alford 2 channel. I always have linked in the description. I go a little more in depth for any of you guys out there that are actually installing this. I kind of walked through some things I needed to go into more detail about to be thorough so that you kind of know what you're getting into. So know that that's there. Thank you guys so much for stopping by. I'm pumped on how this car is coming together, and it wouldn't be possible without you guys. So thanks so much. KarmaSpeed.com if you want to support the channel. We got that new website coming out soon. We got the Karma Speed podcast as well. That description is powerful. We have a bunch of stuff there. So thanks so much. Catch you guys in the next episode. See ya.
Thank you.